Yep. Because there's lots of questions around that. Take a seat, take a seat. So first of all, a little bit of just a question back to you. How many of you detected some sort of difference between when the hands were off and the hands were on? Did anybody not detect a difference? No difference whatsoever? Oh, you did, okay. So in each case there was a difference. Great. So, the other day I think I mentioned the notion of, in movement science, they have the concept of motor problems. Did I mention that? No. Anyway, okay. And I said something in the ATM lesson that ATM lessons are like motor problems or motor puzzles or movement puzzles. Do you remember that? Yeah. So this is like a puzzle. And let's just take, here I am sitting like this, right? If there's no hands, I could basically go left and right in all sorts of different ways, right? I could be all sorts of different ways. Doesn't matter. But as soon as you set up some rules of the game, lean on the hands, the puzzle and the way it can be solved is greatly, greatly, greatly reduced. Which means if the person doesn't have certain movements in their repertoire, they now must find them, or else they can't solve the puzzle. To solve the puzzle, you must find the movements that allow the puzzle to be solved. Every awareness through movement lesson is like that. It sets up a little game, and you put a constraint there, and you put a constraint there, and all of a sudden, you've contained it, which means the puzzle has to be solved in a way that maybe you don't know quite yet how to solve. Then it becomes a learning game. Otherwise, you're just practicing movements. Yes? Now, those individuals who have spines like rods, ever encountered any people like that? Yeah? Instead of having, you know, how many vertebrae is there? 23? Is it 23? I can't remember. But all these vertebrae that are all movable, like a little snake, instead of having movable vertebrae, they hold themselves together as if their personality depended on it. And when they do that movement, they go whoop, 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 like a pendulum, left and right. And they might go a little bit forward and right, a little bit there and right, or a little bit backward and right, but basically that's what they have to do. To lift that buttock, if they can't bend the spine, then that's how they have to lift the buttock. But as soon as you put your hands there, it's like a tent pole with two strings on either side. What are you going to do now? Don't stretch that string. You can't. Your arms don't stretch like that. Then you have to move somewhere in the middle. You must, or else you're stuck. Does that make sense? So you've created a puzzle where the solution is already something that the person might be very, very unfamiliar with. Does it make sense? You've got puzzled eyes.
Ignore it.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's okay.
It'll turn up when it turns up.
Come and sit down. Come and sit down.
It will turn up when it turns up.
That's okay. Sit with your legs folded.
I can't.
You can't?
No.
Okay. So sit like that. And yep. And now look forward of yourself. So, yeah, good. And now lift the buttock off that heel and lift the buttock off that heel. Yeah. No, sorry, one at a time. Great. Now you already know how to move the middle part of yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look. You see how that... Yep, okay, now. You stick lady. Good. Now, off you go. You stick lady. Take this left and right. Now, lift that buttock. Lift that buttock. Oh, no, you're still bending. I don't believe you.
Did I bend?
You did. No, you're still bending. You did. There we go. That's more like it. So you actually have the opposite problem. You can't keep the constraint of keeping your spine stiff. Now that answers your ideal. The ideal is to be able to move yourself in the way that you want. So if you want to keep your spine as a stick, I can move with my spine as a stick. If I want to move my spine if I want to do this like my spine as a wave, I can do it so that my spine is a wave. That's the ideal, because this is your blueprint. In the skeleton are all the movements, mathematically speaking, that you will ever be able to make. What's stopping you making all those movements? Well, how long your life is, and what kind of life you had, and how curious you are. They're the only things that stop you. You could spend several lifetimes exploring, I don't know, does anybody do mathematics here, permutations and combinations? If you think about the number of movements of each joint and multiply them in that fashion, 4 times 3 times 2 times 4 times 3 times, and you get this astronomical number. That's how many movements you can do. That's a lifetime of exploration, right? And by the time you do that, you'll have a self-image that's so malleable, there's nothing you couldn't do. So that's the idea. Now, for those individuals that don't know how to do this, rather than instructing them, no, not like that. No, don't move that like that. No, hold it like this. You just set up a puzzle. You set up a puzzle and you let them solve the puzzle. And for some individuals who are not oriented towards learning and puzzle making, they get very frustrated. Can't you just tell me? Well, I could, but it's not serving you, because you'll walk away and you won't be able to learn things for yourself. You won't be able to solve problems, which is exactly what we're trying to dish up. People's ability to deal with situations in their everyday life where they don't need me as a teacher. Yeah? I'm trying to create students that don't need me. I'm trying to put myself out of a job. If the world was like that, I'd be a very, very happy man. Yeah?
I translate that.
You just did in walking. You just did. That activity is directly related to walking. Because if you displace your head a lot, you're using a lot of energy. You're dipping down and then you're having to lift 6 kilograms back up in the air and then down and then back up in the air. Or even if you're doing that and that, you're using up and down energy, when in actual fact you could just do glide. That's an ideal, right? That's an ideal way of walking. Just nothing going up and down, nothing going left and right, just whoosh. Minimum amount of energy use, which requires, you want to come and sit down with your legs long in front of you. Sorry, I know this is a lot of talking. Lean on your hands behind you. Yeah, right back here. That's it. So sitting is kind of standing on your sit bones, yes? So now lift your right buttock off the floor. Lift your left buttock off the floor. See, you're already doing it. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's interfering is here. Yes, your spine goes all the way up to the top of your head. Go ahead. Off you go. There we go. That's already better. That's already better. That's already... No. Come on. That's it. That's it. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Easier? Yeah. Stiffen your neck again. Do you remember how? That's it. You do know how. Great. Yeah? But notice, if a person doesn't have a self-image of their neck going up to their head, if the neck stops here, then they could be holding on like crazy here, and that's actually interfering with the whole action. So please, let's find that again. Just be easy and lift the right buttock and lift the left buttock. And please feel free to use as much power in your arms as you wish. They're there for a purpose. There we go. There we go. Because if you lose the power in your arms, then that will, there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now go for a quicker walk. That's it. Good. That's it. Come, leave that. Walk a little bit. Feel what that's like. Feels a lot looser. Okay. Yep. Now, that's the awareness through movement game. You instruct people to stay aware, be awake, stay engaged, and you just set up puzzles for them. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to create the puzzles. Moshe Feldenkrais has invented 550 puzzles for you to keep you amused for the rest of your life. Yeah? Now, this is a little, just to finish the day, this is a little aside. So you can imagine this particular person, and here they are inventing these things, and no one else has quite thought of it in the way that he's thought of it. So there is a sense of isolation. Am I doing this right? Is this a sensible thing? If you read the books, he says, you know, I'm bordering on the verge of feeling a little bit loopy because no one is thinking like this. No one's thinking in these mechanical terms of set up these constraints and then the system has to operate differently. So he's feeling quite isolated, alone, and wondering if he's on the right track, which is sometimes where you'll find yourself. Am I doing this right? No one else seems to be doing this. Is this right? Who gives a stuff? As long as you're staying within the constraints of the lesson and you are engaged and exploring, that is what's important. And that's what he had the guts to do, to stay engaged, exploring, and eventually people went, wow, that's interesting. No one's doing that. And out of that dedication, if you want to call it dedication, I'd like to call it constancy. Out of this constant interest, out of a constant passion, he develops all these lessons with people that are willing to explore with him, to be his regular clients, week in, week out, every week, 7 lessons in a row. Boom, 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 boom. So there's a lot of empirical stuff behind it, a lot of observation, tweaking, and he's delivered you 550 lessons, all transcribed, all different puzzles, some addressing the same issues as others, but nevertheless different puzzles. And it's all at your fingertips. You just have to be a master puzzle teacher. Yeah. So can you see from that simplicity, just that simple thing, no hands, hands. Immediately, some of you felt, wow, that feels different in my walking. How much did it take? Well, it took 1 year and whatever experience you brought to the table. But even not a year or lack of experience you brought makes a change. But only if you're paying attention. Yeah, only if you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention, you just walk off and you go, okay, good, my hip doesn't hurt anymore. And you don't have a clue why. And then they have to come back. Well, they're your clients for life. Yep. They're not interested, they'll just keep coming back. They love the lessons, but they don't want to learn. They just want to keep on experiencing. Well, if that's the case, that's the case.
How can you prevent your nervous system from learning?
How can you prevent it?
By not paying attention?
By being so identified with who you are, in a bodily sense, in a thinking sense, in a feeling sense, in the kinds of sensations I want to experience, that you don't allow yourself for the learning to stick. It's like you have all of you, oh, sorry. No. You have. No, I'm trying to get to the essence of it so I don't blah, blah, blah for too long. All of you, when you stand up from a lesson, all of you experience an after effect. It's like an afterglow. How long does that glow last? By the time you walked out the door? By the time you got in your car? By the time, the first time someone actually overtakes you? The first time you miss the train? When does it disappear? You know, there's this temporary taste of something. Use a food metaphor. You take a piece of food, you put it in your mouth, you chew, it tastes, yes? Tastes. And then all of a sudden, the tastes fade away. It's easy, you just get, there's back again. There's the trick. How did you create it? Well, you put it in your mouth. So to actually make a state a trait, to make a state a trait, it requires practice of a particular kind. Awareness, the movement, the puzzle, and then whoop, back again. Awareness, back again. Back again. And until poof, becomes totally automatic, you don't have to think about it, and you can't even remember the old way how you did it. Learning's done. Thank you very much. On we go with life. That's how Feldenkrais thought about it. It's not like you have to be aware all the time, but to be an aware learner is a skill for life. Yep. So when you do these lessons, remember that. And if you can remember it with passion, that'd be great. Yeah? Remember that the movements are a silly thing, unless you're a performing artist.
We went through that yesterday.
No, but really, for some individuals, the movements are important. For people who do physical skills, the movements do become important. But for most of us in these lessons, being able to lift your foot, who cares? Didn't do it yesterday, what does it matter if I do it today? But the ability to investigate how you lift your foot and to make it easier for yourself and light, whatever your intention is, that's important. That's important. And that's why we do awareness through movement. Because there's lots of different ways to learn movement skills. And a lot of them are maybe a little bit easier than awareness through movement. But the movement is the dish on which the meal is served. Yeah? Remember that. The movement is the dish upon which the meal is served. Okay? I hope you have a good day off. I didn't mean to talk. I meant to go back into an awareness through movement lesson, but I got a little bit passionate. So I'm a little bit apologetic about that. But I hope it was of service. I hope it was useful. Okay? Oh, one question. Only one. How past the half hour are we?
Science thing or never?
I think individuals recognize the value of the work, and of course that's why in Israel so many people got referred to him from neurologists and pain specialists and all sorts. So, but as far as medical science was concerned, his favorite T-shirt, you know what his favorite T-shirt was?
No.
I am a quack. Because when you're a quack, you're outside the system. And because you're outside the system, you are free to do things that the system wouldn't let you do, which means you can be an inventor. So he liked that. You have the freedom to take a larger perspective and go, let's see if that works. Oh, that works. Let's see if that one works. That works, that works, that works. So you're not tied to any allegiances. You're not tied to being a doctor, you're not tied to be a physical educator, you're not tied to being anything. You're tied to being able to use whatever works. That's what he was on about. What works for the person in front of you, that's what you want. And when you're doing awareness through movement, what works for you at that time, that's what you want. So there's a great freedom in that. Yeah, you come on. Let's go. We're done.